I am deeply grateful to the many founders and luminaries that have helped us along the way to build something that truly is better care for those in our community who are dealing with serious illness and end-of-life issues. I'd like to thank them for their vision. I'd like to thank them for their dedication and hard work, and more than anything, I'd like to thank them for the profound impact that they've had on our community.
This organization was founded by actually myself and 3 other people. But one of the other people was a good friend of mine, and we read the same article in the New York Times magazine about Cicely Saunders, the fabulous doctor who started the hospice movement really in Europe. And we thought, wow, neither one of us ever heard of a hospice. And we thought, boy, that is a fabulous thing. Why don't we start one of those? Which was a very innocent beginning, because we really had no idea what we were talking about and what we were going to get ourselves into. So we started by meeting in our living room every other week for well over a year, open meetings where we said anybody could come, and we just talked about hospice and what we thought it was going to be and how these people could help us, which they did. We've got all kinds of nurses, social workers, board members eventually, and it took us a while to decide what kind of a program we wanted to have. You know, what did we want to do, what didn't we want to do? It became clear in the beginning we would have to have a medically based program, because so many of the original calls that came to us from families or patients were about pain control. They were not getting pain control and they were frantic. So we realized, you know, we can't do anything for these people until we control their pain, until we make their symptoms a whole lot easier for them. So that's what we started to concentrate on. And we got a wonderful medical director and really led us through all the medical ins and outs of this. And just all the things we had to do, which we didn't know anything about, 501c3s, you know, all kinds of things. And they'd say, well, you know, you have to do that. So we'd trot off and say, okay, and we'd do that. And then we'd come back. From the very beginning, we decided that we would take children, because we knew I had been involved with Children's Memorial for many years, and we knew what went on and how difficult it was for family members to cope with a very ill child. So we decided we would get a pediatric staff and we would learn everything we could about how you did this. We had a fabulous nurse who took care of most of our pediatric patients and was so skilled and so wonderful that patients just loved her, and so did the families. So, you know, we just made it part of it. The same way we decided on the boundaries. We wanted to be a whole, really a Chicago hospice.
The beginnings of Midwest were really Hospice of the North Shore. And Hospice of the North Shore got started in Winnetka in 1978. There were about 12 of us. We all met at the Winnetka Community House, and we sat there for about an hour and talked about what did we know about hospice care. Who knows what hospice care is? We knew that it had started on the East Coast, and there were some on the West Coast, some in the Sun Belt, none in the Midwest. We, at that point, did not know that Horizon had already begun to form their own committee to see about getting started. But in any case, we got started. From day one, I thought this was one of the most electrifying concepts I had ever heard of. And it is still electrifying to me. I can hardly believe the good graces that has propelled this organization to where it is today. I'm so happy to be a part of it.
In 1984, I had a dear friend named Dr. Larry Kilton, who was a local oncologist. He told me at one event that our next door neighbor was being provided hospice care by he and his wife, Sharon, who were going throughout the community and spending their evenings and weekdays and weekends providing hospice care to people in our community, and asked me as a kind of a networker in our community who was involved in a lot of projects to put a meeting together of community leaders. My wife, Carol, who's still actively involved, was reading the book by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross on death and dying. Was very interested in the subject matter as well, and she has some wonderful chocolate chip cookies that usually bring people together. And even though it was 32 years ago, I remember it like it was yesterday. And people that are still involved, Freddie Smith-Peterson, Sam Oliver, Bruce Carlson, my wife Carol, who were there that evening, have stayed with the organization for 32 plus years since it started. So Carol offered her chocolate chip cookies. Larry Kilton came and told us about the need in our community, and that was the beginning of the Hospice of Northeastern Illinois. And right after that meeting, our dear Freddie Smith-Peterson wrote out a rather large check and said, we are on our way. And they brought the Pepper family in, who provided a location for us. And then we started looking out of our region. We wanted to be the Hospice of Northeastern Illinois so we could contact our friends who lived in neighboring communities and say, this is going great in Barrington. Let's reach out to other communities in the surrounding area. And it started to happen, and then we knew we were on the right road to success. La da dee, ba da ba 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 da da, la da dee, ba da ba 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 da, ba da ba 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 da, ba da ba 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 da.